Hello and welcome to Clay Creators. Today we are building our version of Elsa from the film Frozen. I'm hoping that we can get your model looking like this towards the end. We're doing Key Stage 2, so we are going to need our scales, our measuring cards and tools, pots of clay, and if possible an airtight container, anything with a seal or a lid like a lunchbox or Tupperware, something like that, just to help keep the clay fresh during the build. Now before we get started, I'm going to go over the key facts for Elsa. Now I know a lot of you are probably big Frozen fans and you know a lot of these facts already, but have a listen, just in case there's something new in there, and again just in case Mum and Dad decide to quiz you later on. Okay, so fact number 1. Arendelle is the fictional kingdom in Frozen. Fact number 2, 5 of the main characters in Frozen are Elsa, Anna, Olaf, Kristoff and Hans. Fact number 3, Elsa is the second Disney princess to have powers. The first was Rapunzel. Fact number 4, Let It Go, the big song in Frozen, has been recorded in over 41 different languages. Fact number 5, the Ice Queen, Elsa, was originally created to be the villain, okay, but took a dramatic change before the film was released, turning to the good side. Fact number 6, one of the big reasons for that was the song Let It Go. Basically, the creators decided that Elsa should be one of the good characters once that song was basically planned and decided to be put into the film. They decided that she was going to be on the good side. And finally, fact number 7, like many people with anxiety and fears, Elsa learns not to be afraid of her powers and comes up with a way to live with them, proving that she is a real queen. Okay, let's get started by mixing our turquoise. Okay, it's going to be quite a big mix and we're going to use quite a bit of clay. So let's get our scales on, make sure they're at 0 on the right unit, which is grams. Like I say, everything's set up, ready to go. We'll start with our white clay. Like I say, it's going to be a big chunk. It's going to be 10.80 of white. So a good chunk of this. We'll use this big measurement and we'll add to this as we go through the model. Okay, so white will also need blue and yellow. Okay, yellow is going to be measured out at 1 gram, so 100 of yellow. So, and finally blue, it will be 200. Always remember when you're not using your clay to pop it back into the pot and get the lid on. Keep it nice and fresh. Oh, measuring's good today. Okay, once you've got them, get those all mixed together and it will give us a nice turquoise, which is going to be, like I say, our main colour that we're going to be using throughout. There's only one part of the model though that we'll use just this before we add anything else. So once we've got this mixed in, we are going to measure out Elsa's, basically the dress, the bottom part of a dress. Okay, so once that's all mixed through, you should have a nice turquoise, all the colours mixed through. Should look something like that. Okay, so like I say, first measuring will be that bottom dress and we're going to measure out to 7.50. so snap a little off. The rest of your clay for the time being, we're going to just put into our airtight container. And we'll just shape the bottom part first. So again, give it a little stretch, get rid of all the lines, any lumps, and we want to start off with a nice smooth round ball. So I'm going to use my hands, I'm going to roll it into a nice smooth round ball. You may want to use your workstation or your work surface, depends on what works best for you, okay? So I've got a nice smooth round ball. And all we're going to do with this, we're going to kind of turn it into kind of a cone shape, but not as pointy as, say, an ice cream cone. So from my starting position, all I'm going to do, I'm going to roll it slightly. And instead of keeping it even all the way along, I'm going to kind of just focus towards one end slightly, and it's going to be kind of pointing it towards the top. So as you can see, I'm starting to get more of an egg sort of shape, and that's perfect, really. You don't want to go too far, so if you want to measure exactly, I'm going to use my creator card here. You're looking for around about 4.5 to 5 centimeters, because this is going to get smaller as we work along anyway. So all I'm going to do is keep it around about that length and give it a little push down. Flat surface is going to give it a flatter bottom. Same again at the top. Ideally, I get a little flat top as well. And if you want to give it a little push down as you're turning to give it a little bit more of a flat bottom, that's perfect. Again, it'll have shrunk a little bit. I'm down to 4 centimeters, so I'm just going to give it another little gentle roll. Try not to change the shape too much. Again, not essential right now, as long as you've got roughly that. Now, right now, before we go any further, I'm going to put a little detail in here. I'm just going to give the dress a little cut up one side. So I'm just going to take my tool, give it a little cut. And again, this will close up as time goes on, so it's more, so it's there whilst we're doing everything else. Whilst it's drying, it will be there. Okay, so we're looking just something like this. Okay, now ideally, that's kind of when we put the top on, that'll be more to one side. It won't be directly at the front, but we'll get to that later on. Okay, so okay, we'll put that into the airtight container and we'll swap it over and bring out the rest of the turquoise clay. Okay. So from here, we're going to measure 5.80 of this clay. Now it shouldn't be too far off, I'd imagine. Yeah, so there's going to be a little left over, so only a little bit. So 5.8. Any spare, put into your airtight container, keep it out of the way, try not to let it touch. And to this we're going to add some more blue, and we're only going to part mix this, which means I'm only going to slightly mix. So before we mixed until all the colours were mixed in, this time we're going to stop part way through. Okay, so we're going to collect our blue, we're going to measure out 1 gram of blue. Okay, and like I said, just part mix now. So we're looking for kind of a swirly effect. We don't want it to mix in too much. Okay, so we put them together, just give them a slight mix, nothing too much, get those colours starting to blend, and then roll, and you should be able to get a nice kind of marble swirly effect. Okay, we're going to use this for the upper part of the body and for the cloak. Okay, so the upper part we're going to measure out at 3.20. So snap a little off. And again, try and work as little as possible with mixing these bits of clay. So now that we've tried to snap off. Okay, so I'm going to just roll that into a ball nice and quick. And I should, yes, I've got a nice swirly effect through there. Okay, same with this bit. This bit is going to be the cape. Okay, so, or the cloak. If you want to quickly measure this out now, we're looking at 340. So again, I've got a touch too much. So 340 is what we're looking for the cape or cloak, whichever way you want to look at it. Okay, I'm going to roll that into a ball as well. Again, you've got a little bit of spare clay. You can put that into the airtight container as well. So for the time being, put that measurement of the cloak again out the way in the corner, and we'll shape that later on. I'm going to focus on the upper part of the dress now. So this is kind of like a triangle shape, but with a dent in the top. Okay, so we're going to start off with that round ball, and all we're going to do is gently press down slightly. Okay, so we're just going to flatten it. So we've kind of still in a circle, but I want to point one end now. So all I'm going to do, I'm kind of point to the sides by pressing them in slightly. press it down a little bit more. So the shape we're kind of starting to get now. So if I show you from the top, it's going to basically sit like this onto the dress. So at the top here is where we're going to be putting the head. Now this is the bit now we're going to try and make a little dent so we can get the upper part of the body in. Okay, so all I'm going to do is gently pinch around the rim, just very gently. Try not to change the shape of the body too much. So going back, pointing the sides, flattening in slightly. But I'm still going to go back gently, just pinch around the top, causing it to kind of have a dent. And so if I can bring that to the camera. So that's the sort of shape, and I've pinched around the top and pressed it in slightly. Okay. Again, that will change as time goes, so as long as we've got a little bit of a dent in there, that's fine, we'll be able to decorate. Okay, so this will sit on top. Like I say, the skirt will go on the bottom here, and the body and the head will be on the top. So we've got that kind of ready to go. What we're going to do now, we're going to mix some light blue and decorate and get in there. So whilst we're doing that, I'm going to put this into the airtight container. We're going to mix light blue and the skin colour, a very light skin colour. Okay, so the light blue is a very, very light blue, and we'll use this for like a little bit around the top and then onto the arms as well. Okay, so the light blue, we're going to measure out, again using the white, we're going to measure out 1.20 of white, and then we'll add just a small amount of blue. To find it. Okay, play away again, and the blue is just a small pinch. We're going to go onto our creator card, and when we say a lot of time when I say a small pinch, it's literally the smallest circle on your creator card. So you're looking for a tiny little ball, not squished down. When you put it on, you can still see the outline of the circle it's sat on. So very tricky to get it that small. Okay, once you've got that, mix those together. And like I say, this is going to be a very, very light blue. Give them a full mix through. And like I say, very, very light blue. Okay, from here, like I say, we're going to use this for a few bits. The arms, a little rim around the top. So we're going to start off with a little bit across the front of that dress. So again, it's only going to be a tiny, tiny measurement. We're going to use the 0.5 again. Now this time, if it's slightly bigger, it's not a problem if it's a touch bigger than that 0.5. But we're only looking for a tiny little rim here. So put the rest away into your airtight container. Trying to keep everything apart. Okay, and all we're going to do with this is we're going to roll it out slightly and then flatten. And like I say, this is going to go across the top of the dress. So I'm going to go nice and even, fresh, steady pressure all the way along. And we're only rolling this out. Use your creator card if you want to go for an exact measurement, but again, it doesn't have to be exact. Rolling out for around about 2.5 centimeters, and then all we're going to do is press down slightly and flatten it. So not too much, just flatten, which is going to make it a little bit longer. And if we can try and get that kind of even all the way along. So you've kind of got a thin sausage squished down, okay? And what we'll do now, we'll get the top part of that dress, the mixed swirly effect, the one where we pinched the top. And all we're going to do is put it on the front, right at the very top, so it's just showing over the top slightly. I'll show you once I've got that on. So it kind of goes on the inside of the dent, just kind of poking out across the top slightly. Something like this. Okay. We'll do the same around the back once we've got the cape on or cloak on later on. Just squish that with my finger. There we go. Right, now we're going to mix that the flesh colour or the skin colour that I was talking about. So again, back to the white, and this time we're going to be measuring at 2.75 or 2.75. So scales on again. Let's say 2.75. Onto the yellow, a 0.30. So only a small amount of yellow, 0.30. Okay, now the red is just going to be a pinch, so a small amount of red. But you don't want Elsa's face, we don't want it to be too pinky. So it's better to be a tiny, tiny pinch of red. And if you still want to add a bit more, do that afterwards. So the guide that I will start with is the 0.5 measurement on your creator card as a guide for a pinch. So just a tiny, tiny dot of red compared to the others. And then, like I say, if it's still really, really light and you want to add a bit more, just add a touch more red. Get them together, give them a good mix. And we should have a nice flesh colour there. Okay. This will be used for the head, the chest, the hands, a little bit for the nose and the ears, which we'll get to. You might not be able to put ears in, depending on how we work the hair later on, depending on how you do, but there'll be enough there for that. We'll start off with the chest. So again, just a small bit that's going to go on the inside of that rim that we've just done. And the chest is going to be measured out at 0.50. So 0.50. Not a big measurement. And if this just drops in a touch under, don't worry, it doesn't have to be dead on 50. So I'm at 4049 there. Okay. Put the rest of your flesh clay away. Again, trying to keep it out of the way if you can of everything else. Okay, all we're going to do then is get rid of the lines, lumps, start off with a nice smooth ball again. Now this is going to fit on the inside of that dip that we've done on the upper part of the dress. So all we're going to do from that starting position, we're going to give it a slight roll, and then we're going to flatten out. So from more egg shape rather than a ball, we're then going to flatten out slightly, press down. Now if you can see, I've kind of got that sort of shape. Now if I put that down on the work surface and I point to these two sides here, these are the bits where the shoulders or the arms are going to attach. So if you imagine we're doing this part before the head, neck. So I'm just going to press down those edges. So it's going to kind of do that shape in the middle. Gently press down again. Again, don't worry too much about that if you can't quite get that shape, but it's basically a little ramp. Okay. And this is going to place inside that part where we did the blue rim. So if we take that part out again, so as you can see, you've kind of got that sort of shape there, and this is going to sit directly inside. Okay. Now don't worry too much around about the back. You want it nice and neat up against the front of the blue and on the sides if possible, but at the back it will tidy up when we put the cloak on towards the end. So, whoops, gently, just try again. If you've not quite got that same sort of size or shape as you've got on the top, have another quick move around, and then gently just shape it in. So as you can see, it's going to be raised a little bit. just above. Okay, like I say, the arms are going to go on each side where the blue rim kind of finishes, and we'll put the cloak on afterwards. Okay, so we've got that. Should be able to stand upright, so we can fasten that on. Okay, very quickly before we go any further, then I'm going to get a little neck on there. Now, it doesn't really show much later on in the model, but it helps raise the head slightly. So if you can get your flesh color, and we're going to just measure out around about 0.10 measure clay, 0.10 grams of the flesh colored clay. So again, doesn't have to be exact. Now I'm at 0.8, which I think is a touch too big. So I'm going to just take a little off that, and if your scales will pick it up, it should now, I'm at 0.6. Okay, so it's a tiny little ball, which is perfect, and all I'm going to do is just kind of round it slightly, but this is going to go right in the middle on the top as the neck. Okay, now I've just balanced that for the time being, and all we're going to do is gently press down. Like I say, it's not essential that it's there, but you're looking for that sort of position, and it just helps raise the head slightly once it all starts drying. Okay, we're going to add the cloak on. So if you remember at the beginning, with the same color as this, I'm going to take that bit out now, so it's quite a big ball. We'd already measured. So that measurement's already done. All we're going to do now is shape this and get this into the right shape for to be added on. Now if I bring the original over for you to look at again, as you can see, it kind of droops down the back and then touches the floor, so we can use that to help hold the body up. Okay, so may want to freshen it up, but again, you may not want to, because this is a swirl. Okay, we've already got that kind of swirly pattern in there. So if you want to get started by it, we're going to roll this out slightly. Now, if you go for the same sort of effect as we did with the dress at the very beginning, or the bottom part of the dress, where we kind of make one end pointier than the other, you'll end up with this top. The smaller part would be the bit that fastens around the top. Now the cloak doesn't have to be perfect, it's just kind of a rough guide. Okay, so I'm going to roll this out. Everyone's could be slightly different, it doesn't have to be square. I've rolled this to about 6 centimeters, and I'm going to start to flatten it out. So you'll do this in kind of stages and kind of tweak this. So at the moment, still a bit too thick, but I'm getting the shape. Okay, so this end here will be the bit that goes up against the shoulders. So I'm going to start pressing down a little heavier now and get this a bit thinner. Remember, your workstation or your work surface is going to give you a nice flat, perfect side. So that side will be perfect. So I'm going to flip it over. Use my tool now to maybe straighten up a couple of edges if I want that. And like I say, your cape, it doesn't have to be perfectly straight lines, it can be a little bit wavy. You may want to cut into it slightly. Okay. So you should end up with something that's like this, nice and thin. And now mine measures out at the moment, again it will change as we go, it's around about 9 centimeters, which should work out perfect for that kind of effect. Okay, so if we get the body, and we're going to start putting it all together now, and then we can get the arms and stuff on afterwards. Okay, so we're going to get the bottom, we're going to get the upper chest, we'll get them together. Okay, so remember where the slit was on the dress, if you remember, it should kind of be to one side. And I'll just show you once I've got the dress all on. So gently press it down. And it's kind of to one side now. Get the cape on. Now the cape should line up nicely level with the flesh colour at the back. Bring it down the back. Don't worry about it being too neat and tidy around the sides, because we're going to add the arms to the side of this in a moment. So this should just kind of touch the very top where the flesh meets the dress. I'm just flattening the very top of this slightly. And just curving it round. Shape of the body. Once you've got it kind of stood upright in the right position, you can bring it down the body and have it so it's helping hold upright in the right place. So we've got that sort of effect around the back, and it'll come down the sides. Okay, so I'm happy with where that's going to be. Before we get onto the arms, so the arms are going to obviously fasten on the side there. We're also going to put a little rim around the back. Okay, so the back rim is going to be a tiny bit similar to what we did at the front. It's going to be a tiny pinch of blue clay, and it's going to just go around the top of that cloak. So again, if you go back to the light blue clay, we can put the model back into the airtight container for the time being. And it's just going to be, again, tiny little pinch, that 0.5 centimeter measurement. And we're going to roll that out again into a little sausage and just line it across the top. If it's slightly bigger than 0.5, it's fine, because the arms are going to kind of tidy up this blue rim. So all we're going to do, roll this out again. Now this time you don't need to worry too much about flattening it. Before, when we flatten it to be on the front, it was so it could stick up slightly. This is going to kind of go around the back on that cloak, so don't worry too much. You can flatten it a little if you want, just a gentle press. But it's a little bit of, everybody's going to be slightly different, so you might not want to press too much. And we are just literally going to go around the top of the cape. So when you pick it up, you can see roughly whether it's going to be the right size. Mine's going to work out fine. So all I'm going to do is take it from one side of the cape, loop it round, gently press around the top of the cape. And like I say, the arms are going to go around the sides, which will tidy up. There should be probably a couple of little gaps between the two light blue rims, okay? So we've got that. We're going to do the arms now. So whilst we're doing that, we'll put that back into the airtight container again. Okay, arms are measured out at 0.45, so we need 2 of them. So 2 0.45s. And hopefully you should have a little clay left over. Try and get your arms roughly pretty much the same. So I know there's only tiny points, but they should. Okay, so fantastic. So should have a little bit left over. We may use some of that in a moment. You'll have a choice whether you want to use it. I'll explain that shortly. Sorry, if you get the flash at the same time, we'll do the hands. The hands are measured out using the creator card, and we're going to kind of go for that 0.5 centimeter. Again, if it's not dead on, if it's a little bit bigger, this time it's fine being a little bit bigger than that 0.5. Again, as long as your hands are the same sort of size, it will look perfect. Flash again away for the time being. Now with the arms, they aren't too tricky. We're going to roll them out into little sausages, but then we're going to kind of pinch the top where the shoulders will attach. So get rid of any lines, make these nice and smooth if you can. And like I say, we're going to roll these out. Using your card, if you want to get an exact measurement, we will do. So we're going to roll them out. And as long as they're about the same kind of thickness, you'll be okay. So we're going to roll these, and we're going to go for Anywhere between 3.5 and 4. It's hard to say because as you press down, what we're going to do, when we pinch the top, it's going to kind of lengthen them slightly. So mine right now is 3.5, okay? So I've got 3.5 centimeters on my ruler. And what I'm going to do at one end, so one end is going to be where the hand's going to go together, the other end where the shoulder is, I'm going to just pinch the top slightly and flatten the top. So if you can see, starting to get that effect. Okay. Now what I'm going to try and do is straighten the top up, maybe even point it slightly, just so when this attaches to the dress it's a little bit neater. So now that I've kind of tweaked that a little bit, pressed it in, kind of got a nice square top. And then, okay. The other end is where the hand will go, so just place that on. Same again on the other one. Just press the shoulder in a little bit, flatten the edge. And get the hand on again at the other end. So we should now have two ready to go. And we'll place them onto the body. Like I say, the top pinched bits where the shoulders are, that's going to tidy up around the blue rim. So ideally you're nice and gentle, nice and careful, and try and line them all up nicely. And then you can bring the arms down, side of the body. It's up to you whether you want to press them against the body or whether you want to curve it, have them in a different position slightly. Okay, so you can see they nicely attach on the top on both sides. And coming down the body. Okay. I'm going to move on to the head now. So again, just whilst we do that, body back into there. We'll get the flesh out, and we're going to just measure the head quickly. So it's there measured for when we get the eyes and face sorted out. So the measurement for the head is going to be 1.90, so 190. Oops. Leaving us a little bit of extra clay left over to do those little bits like the nose and the ears, okay? So I'm going to just roll this into a ball now, get rid of those lines, lumps. Again, don't worry too much, but whilst we're doing the other bits, I'm going to just lie this on the workstation, and that's going to give me a flatter back. So don't worry too much. That's the bit where we're going to obviously put the hair, so it's not a problem. On the front here is where we're going to do the eyes and the mouth. So I'm going to just place that in the airtight container, lying on that same spot. Any spare clay, just put to the side. Now the eyes on Elsa are kind of done in 3 stages. We've got a white, then we've got the blue, and then we've got a touch of black as well, and it gets quite small and quite fiddly. But what we'll try and do, you try and fill it up as much as possible, try and flatten it as much as possible. Okay, but again, you may need a little help, but give it a shot, give it a try to start off with, okay? So we're going to start off with the white part of the eyes, so I'm going to take a 0.5 measurement. Now this time if it's a little bit smaller than that 0.5, it would probably be a good point, because smaller is, I know it's trickier, but it will give you a better effect. So I'm dead on 0.5 right now. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to cut that in half with my tool. And instead of them being little white balls, what I'd like to do, I'm going to roll them slightly into very thinner sausages, not too much, and then I'm going to press them down so they're more of a flat oval rather than a sausage. So just gently do that with them both. Okay, Now the next part is a blue part for the eye. And what we're going to do, we're going to use a little bit of the clay that we've got left over. So there's a still, I'm hoping there should be. If there isn't, don't worry. If your measurements have gone off slightly, it's not a problem. I've got a little bit of leftover light blue clay. So I'm going to take a pinch of this, or a little snap of that. I'm going to turn that a little bit swirly again. So any clay left over, like I say, if you don't have any of this, it's fine. You can just use regular blue. So I'm going to take this very, very light blue, and I'm going to take a tiny pinch of darker blue, probably smaller than that 0.5, and I'm just going to slightly part mix them together. Okay, so give it a quick mix in, and you should get a nice swirly effect again. Now, like I say, this is going to be the part of her eyes. So once I've got that, I'm going to take a tiny cut out of it. It doesn't matter which part. Tiny ball, and again I'm going to do that twice for the two eyes. As long as these two little balls are about the same size, you'll get the right effect. So one is quite a bit bigger than the other, so what I'll do, a touch more. Okay, so again I'm going to flatten these out if you can. I'm going to put them onto the eyes. And the eyes are a little bit up to you whether you want to have her look in the same direction, whether you want to kind of look in to the side slightly. If you want the look in a particular way, then just put the colours in a different place. I'm putting them towards one side. So she's going to be looking one way. Squish them down a little bit, flatten them a little. And then finally, all we're going to do is a tiny, tiny, so small you probably won't even see, black dot on each one. Again, as long as you get the same size here on each, you get a good effect. So I've got my two eyes sorted. Tiny bit of black clay left. Okay, before we pop them on, we're going to take a tiny pinch as well for the nose. So there should be, like I say, there's some fresh, flesh-coloured skin colour clay left. This is a tiny, tiny, tiny pinch, smaller than the 0.5. Again, just roll that into a little ball, and that will obviously go between the two eyes. If you take the head out now, we'll get these on. So remember, you've kind of got a flatter part where it's been sat on your workstation. If you want to get the eyes on in the right place, you're trying to be nice and gentle so you don't squish. Oops. And again, a little nose in between the two eyes. We should be at this kind of effect now. Okay. Now, the mouth is even trickier because it's really small, and we're going to try and make a smile. So a little tiny pinch of red clay, and if you can curve it slightly, it will give it the effect of the smile. So a tiny pinch of red clay, and all I'll do from a little red ball is I'm going to kind of roll it into a little sausage and kind of curve it as much as I can to give it the effect of her smiling. You may need to use your tools a little bit maybe. Again, you might find this a little bit easier because you've got nice little fingers that will be able to curve the clay a little bit easier than me. Little red mouth, and then pop it on just under the nose. Okay. So the ears, like I said, we may not need them. We're going to do the hair first, and then we'll see if there's room to get the the ears in. So whilst we're doing the hair, I don't want to squish the head too much, we'll put the head back in on lying down, and we'll do the hair now. Okay, so again, final measurement with white, well, not quite, nearly the main part. Okay, so there is one other little one at the end which you may want to do. Okay, so the hair is going to be measured at 2.45, so 245 of white clay. Now the hair's a pretty important part. It kind of gives it a good effect at the end. Okay, so there's my white. Now we're going to add just a smidge, or just a small amount of yellow, and the yellow is going to be 010. So just a small amount of yellow. Oops. And this is going to give her a very, very light blonde yellowy hair. Okay, so give them a mix together and you'll see that the colour only changed very slightly. This will be enough for all her hair, but we're going to do it in two stages. We're going to do the main part on the top of her head and then the ponytail. Okay, now the ponytail is going to be measured out at 0.50. So if you take a little snap off, 0.50 for the ponytail. Okay, the rest is what we're going to shape in a minute. So if we just quickly do the ponytail, so you need to split this in half. So that's 0.50. Doesn't have to be perfect. Just use your tool, use your hands, snap it in half so you've got two-ish, roughly the same size balls. And then what we're going to do, we're going to roll these out evenly, nice pressure all the way along. And again, measurements don't have to be exact, but if you are trying to follow the card, we're looking for around about 3.5–4 centimeters. And you want to put those two together, side by side, and give them a little press together so they should kind of stick to one another. And for the ponytail, all we're going to do is give that a little twist all the way around. So as you work your way along, that'll twist itself around and it'll give you a nice little effect, like so. I'm going to press one end in slightly so I know that that's the end that I'm going to put into the rest of the hair. I'll just put that down for a minute. So onto the rest of the hair. Now this is a good book. She has a good head of hair, does Elsa. So starting position, get rid of the lumps and bumps to start off with. And all I'm going to do is press down slightly and turn it into a flatter circle. So not too much. Okay, and then it's a little bit about molding with your fingers. Okay, so I'm going to curve it over slightly. Imagine somebody's hair. Bring it down at the back. Now I don't want to do too much. I don't want to make it flat. So at the moment I've just kind of started shape. Now I'm going to take my tool and I'm going to cut in, kind of give it the detail. So just some lines across the front, chop it in on the top. Like so, plenty of detail. And then what we'll do, we'll put this onto her head and curve it around. So at the bottom there should be a nice dent, it's kind of arched. And we'll take the ponytail, we'll just place it in at the back here. So we should now have this kind of effect. And we're going to put this over onto the head, put this all together. Bring the ponytail over the shoulder, okay? So we get the main body out carefully with the head. And if you want to now place the head on, gently press it down. I say take the hair over the top, bring the ponytail around the front, and then kind of press it on, hold it all in place. Now I've done this to the point where I'm not going to really have room for the ears at all. My hair's taken up, it's done. Okay, so I've curved it around. We should have a nice effect like this over the shoulder. Now I'm going to try and push the hair back a little bit just so I can get a little ear on each side. And hopefully you've got the same little space for an ear on each side. So if that is the case, we'll just take a tiny pinch of the flesh colour and just kind of poke it into the corner of where the hair meets the head. For the sides you might not be able to quite tell. And finally would be a little bit of detailing, which is our last mix, is a little bit of ice for it to basically stand on, just to go with the Frozen theme. Okay, you may want to leave there, you want to finish it there, that's absolutely fine. Hopefully you've got that a model looking like Elsa here. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to do a little of ice, and it's going to be a patch that sits around her on the bottom. Okay, so I'm going to just move it to the side. No need to be in the airtight container at the moment. Just put it to the side. The mix is going to be a touch of white, a touch of blue, and some black. And again, it mixes all together. So the measurement, white is going to be 2.40, so 2.40 of white. And like I say, this is going to be our last measurement now. Okay, so blue and black are, like I said, just pinchers. So you may want to go back to your card again and go for two 0.5s. It doesn't matter if your ice is slightly different colour. So I've got 0.5 of blue and 0.5 of black. And again, with this bit, you can either choose to fully mix or part mix like we have done throughout the build. And you can go for it to fully mix together. It will kind of be a dark silvery bluey colour, or you can go for that part mix where you'll maybe get some little swirly effects part way through. So if I stop now, I've got a little bit of black and blue through there. I'm going to give it a little bit more. Leave it at that, okay. All I do then is kind of press down and flatten out. It doesn't have to be any particular shape. Just flatten, bring to the sides. Use your workstation to give you a nice, really flat. Get rid of your handprints as you press and work it to the outsides. I say there's no real shape, it doesn't matter which way you go with this. And then all we're going to do is pick a spot and pop Elsa on. Very gentle. You may want to move the cloak slightly, press it all down, make sure she's stood upright. And that is your finished model. And like I say, hopefully we've got successful build looking like this. Okay, so over to free play time. We normally use 1 gram of every colour measured out on your scales for free play. You may not want to use every colour, you may want to use a little bit more of one than the other, so technically it's 5 grams in total for your free play. Use your imagination, build something alongside. I know a little Olaf would look brilliant next to Elsa. It's completely up to you. Use your own imagination and build alongside. If you have found the scales a little bit tricky today and you want to drop down to try measuring using Key Stage 1 measuring tools, which is a set of spoons, head over to claycreators.com/shop and there you'll be able to order some spoons. Same place if you want to order a refill of clay. or download our activity sheets, questions and answers, things like that, all over at claycreators.com/shop. Okay, so thank you very much for joining us today. We'll see you again soon. Thank you. Bye-bye.